Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world, coming up. So what exactly is holding Japan back when it comes to promoting gender equality, the Asian country lagging way behind other developed nations in regards to promoting women's rights? Also, how a pilot program in Zimbabwe is now offering women electric bikes to make their lives easier while giving them greater autonomy. And we meet one of Afghanistan's first female filmmakers who's a voice for Afghan women in one of the world's worst places to be one. But we begin in Japan, which, despite being one of the world's wealthiest nations, is struggling to boost gender equality. According to the World Economic Forum, Japan ranked 121st out of 153 countries in 2019, down 11 places from the previous year, registering the worst performance among developed nations. So why do the Japanese lag way behind when it comes to promoting women's rights? Our team in Tokyo went to find out.
These flowers symbolise the victims of sexual violence. On the 11th of every month, women come together in dozens of Japanese cities to protest a series of acquittals last year involving men accused of sex crimes.
I'm disgusted that my father was the one who did it. And it's because of that I'm constantly fighting the urge to destroy my own body.
This woman is speaking for the first time about being raped as a child by her father. She stayed silent about the crime for years. In Japan, rape victims have to prove that they were unable to physically resist their attackers, a controversial legal requirement that has enabled many accused men to walk free.
When a victim files a complaint, the prosecutor and the police are insensitive. They don't understand the psychological pain, how difficult it is to talk about what happened. It's like being raped a second time.
Japan is one of the few developed countries where the Me Too movement has yet to take hold. Women play a key role in the world's third biggest economy, but they must contend with a large gender pay gap. In addition, women occupy only about 10% of senior positions in the public and private sectors. Political representation is poor. Only 3 members of the current 20-member cabinet are women. Just 5 of the 48 councillors here are women. One of them, the independent councillor Yuka Ogata, is shaking up Kumamoto's male-dominated political establishment. In 2017, Ogata caused a stir when she took her newborn son into the assembly chamber. She'd intended to highlight the lack of support for working mothers, but her gesture angered her male colleagues, and she was ordered to leave the chamber.
I felt I have all the right to be in the chamber, or nobody has the right to expel me because I'm representing people. So I was really trying to hold my ground no matter, how many times they tell me to leave with my baby. But then the chairperson started feeling like really anxious because, a lot of elder male shouting in a really loud voice, saying like, this is the most, like this is the highest working place.
Ogata received a warning and was forced to feed her son outside the assembly chamber for several months, causing her to miss a vote.
So baby was here. Now I took the baby and I would breastfeed here and I would check the session in the monitor. And I was really in a hurry to breastfeed him. Then I ran back to the session again. Maybe a lot of the male councils don't think women need to be here.
2 years have passed since Ogata's protest, but the local assembly has still not opened childcare facilities on its premises. That said, Ogata has become the most visible champion of women's rights in the city.
All around the world, politicians are allowed to work with their babies, so we Japanese should also adapt.
She should have hired a babysitter. The council is a place of debate. It's not appropriate for children.
Ogata is far from alone. In a country where 7 out of 10 women stop working when they become mothers.
I would like to concentrate on my career, but I also want to take care of my child. But I can't do both at once.
Parents want to work, but there's no room in nurseries for their children.
Yet the Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, has made increasing the number of women in the workforce a priority. He says it will encourage growth and address the acute labour shortage in this rapidly greying society. Women in work encounter other problems, including, in many companies, strict dress codes requiring them to wear skirts and high heels. Some women have had enough. Members of the Kutu movement, a play on the Japanese words for shoes and pain, last year submitted a petition to the Labour Ministry demanding an end to the high heel requirement. 32,000 people signed the petition.
If we don't wear high heels, we give the impression that we're being too casual about our work.
Like if you don't wear makeup?
Yeah, that's right.
But these campaigners face an uphill struggle. The Labour Minister at the time responded to their petition by saying that high heels at work were necessary and socially accepted.
A fascinating report now to Africa, and for women in Zimbabwe's villages, providing for their families often entails walking for many kilometres every day. This as they fetch drinking water, collect firewood or take kids to school. Solange Mujan reports on a pilot program that's giving women access to electric bikes.
A tedious chore turned into a putt-putting joyride. 58-year-old Mary Mocha no longer has to lug firewood for kilometers on end. With other women in her village, she has leased an electric motorcycle, the Hamba.
We used to carry wood on our heads for very long distances. We'd have to walk 2 kilometers. But it's much easier now. This tricycle has taken away that burden.
Greater mobility also means more money could come in for the mother of 6. She can now sell produce at a bigger market 15 kilometers away. Creating a path to get out of poverty by bringing transportation to women. That's the focus of a pilot program by Mobility for Africa. The Zimbabwe startup leases and sells the bikes to groups of up to 5 women. Leasing costs the equivalent of €13 a month. An investment that could mean time for other things and the possibility of creating a small business.
Women in the rural areas carry the burden of carrying firewood, going to fetch water to drink, and carrying school kids to the school. So as Mobility for Africa, we saw that we need to lessen the burden on women.
Assembled in Harare from kits made in China, the Hamba bikes have proven invaluable when it comes to health. A rural village nurse says every week she drives on average 4 people to the local hospital. It's 12 kilometers away.
We have fewer cases of pregnant women giving birth at home now. Before, they didn't have transportation to the clinic.
Helping babies to be born, bringing medicine back to farming communities. A 3-wheeler that may have the power to transform lives for the better.
Now, for a generation, Roya Sadat has been a voice for Afghan women as one of the first female filmmakers to make a name since the fall of the Taliban in 2001. She's won plaudits at home and abroad for works such as A Letter to the President and 3 Dots. Peter O'Brien reports.
Roya Sadat is where she was always destined to be, behind a camera. The acclaimed director has lived through the Soviet occupation, the brutality of civil war, and the violent oppression of Taliban rule. But ever since her childhood, she's been writing stories and scripts.
بعد زمان به سینما پناه بردم که یک عالمه گپ برای گفتن داشتم، از یک دوری بسیار اختناق برآمده بودم. بنابراین من به سینما به شدت باور دارم و باور دارم که از مهمترین هنرهایی که میتونه جامعه ما دچار تغییر و تحول کنه سینما است.
Sadat wrote her first work, 3 Dots, under Taliban rule, but only produced it once the regime changed. Her greatest fear is a return to fundamentalism. The deal struck between the US and the Taliban in February may be a potential step towards peace, but it doesn't guarantee the few women's rights set out in the current constitution.
و اگر جامعه جهانی بخواهد در مقابل از این همچون روی کرده داشته باشه که گویا مثل یک سناریو برشان باز شده و در یک زمان بسته شود و افغانستان به شرایط فعلی رها کنند، بدون شک تاثیر بسیار منفی و سو میتونه داشته باشه.
According to the latest World Bank figures, around 40% of girls go to secondary school in Afghanistan, while the Education Ministry says around a third of university students are female, which would have been impossible 20 years ago. Taking in a wider picture, however, Afghanistan ranks second to last in the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace and Security Index, which measures well-being and self-reliance. Sadat's productions, which shine a light on female inequality and repression, remain controversial.
یعنی شما دست به جای ماندیم که او بخش از اساسیت‌های مردم است و این ممکنه هر لحظه از هر جا بر شما آسیب بزنه. ولی در کنار از این من همیشه خود یک آدم خوشبخت در این مسلک احساس میکنم، برای اینکه به سینما عشق دارم، باور دارم و
She's committed to supporting the next generation of female filmmakers. The latest edition of her International Women's Film Festival in Herat received more than 2,500 submissions. This year it's been postponed to September.
And that's it for this edition. You can also connect with us via our Facebook page, that of course being France24.51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. So until our next show, bye for now.